I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and if you are interested in just that one move that I mentioned in the video title, feel free to go to the timestamp that I left for you in the video description. Otherwise, please stick around for the whole video, because I will review a bunch of other interesting moves made in that game, and I will actually ask you to pause the video several times. So the game is the decider game in the finals of World Team Carcassonne Online Championships. With the green meeples, we have Pindutron here, Takafumi Mochizuki of Japan, who is widely regarded as the best player on the planet. And with the black meeples, we have Vladimir Chendev, AK 71st, who is a top 3 Russian player. So certainly we're going to have both opponents with a deep understanding of the game. I won't comment the opening that much because these will be fairly standard moves. And by the way, I am experimenting a little bit with some hardware and software things for these videos, so let me know what you think of the video quality now. Has it been going better or worse? I would greatly appreciate your feedback. And now we get to the first interesting move. So it's not the one that, let's say, it's not the reason for this video. We'll get to that in a second, but this is the first interesting decision by the Japanese player. So what would you do with this shielded city over here? So what I would do is I would place it over here and just try and score some 8 easy points. It's a nice spot, you know, not easily blockable, not easy to connect. But instead, Takafumi did this. And it is a little bit counterintuitive at start because this city is not as likely to be completed, so this will only be worth 2 points rather than 4 points, this tile. But this move has a range of other purposes. So first of all, it creates this hole over here, and if this spot ends up being blocked, then the green meeple here already has 6 points. And the black meeple has 3 points over here. So this means that in this mini battle of meeples, 1-1, green will have an advantage. And in that case, he's quite happy with this being blocked. Because also this city can grow from this side, but this road would be completely dead. By the way, these kind of 1-1 mini battles of meeples is, from my experience, an important component in how Japanese players understand the game. So Pindutron also, but especially Kithara, who's one of the Japanese leaders. He does loads of these 1-1 battles. And here comes the second advantage of this move. Sort of, even though it is kind of in green's interest that this square is blocked, it's really even more so in black's interest, because black cannot afford for this city to be completed because green will score just too many points. So it's black who has to spend tiles on making sure that this hole is closed. And then after black does this, green will still have the points advantage. So this move now makes much more sense. Okay, now black is fortunate to draw the first monastery with 5 points and quite easy expansion. And now comes another interesting move by the world champion. Still not the one that I was talking about, but worth pausing the video, so try do that. So there's several places where you can put this monastery that we got just now. You could put it here, 6 points, or here, also 6 points, or here, 5 points, and all of them are fine, but all of them have slight disadvantages. The disadvantages of this: if you meeple this monastery, then you leave open this 4-point road, which your opponent can take, and also he's interested in taking it because that would add another point to his monastery. If you place it over here, then you create a dangling 3-point road, and then black would also be happily take it and block this square and add 4 points for himself. If you meeple this monastery, then you leave another 3-point road, even though it is not as juicy. And this move is actually okay. Green found something more interesting. Check this out. So what this move does is it gets 3 points instead of 6, but you put your monastery in a spot that controls 2 of your opponent's meeples. Here's what I mean by controls. So at the moment, in this mini battle of meeples, you have 3 points for green and 1 point for black. So +2 for green. And green would be happy if that stays that way forever. So that's already an advantage. And if black completes his city, then at the very least, green gets 1 point of compensation from this tile over here. Also, green can build up his monastery and try to block this square to grow his advantage from 3-1 to 8-1, because just building everything around that. And at the same time, while trying to block the square, you would also be adding points to yourself. Another thing is that this little piece of road is actually another potential source of points, because all 8 crossroads are still in the game, and it's quite likely that green can draw one of them and score 2 points with tempo over here. And finally, this meeple indirectly controls another meeple, this guy over here, because black has the incentive of placing a tile over here, and that way green will benefit by gaining 1 point. Black's the one who has the incentive of doing so because his monastery is closer to completion, so he's more likely to be able to retrieve his meeple. So it is in his interest that something fills in this empty space over here. So lots of things to consider when placing monasteries, not just the points. And I've noticed that Japanese players, top Japanese players, value this kind of thing a lot. So they would often sacrifice immediate points in favor of placing your monastery in a controlling spot like this. In the meantime, black gets quite fortunate in drawing more monasteries, and if he manages to build it up, he'll build up his way to a sizable advantage. And now also black tries to block the city in 2 ways, which is quite wise, because it also makes sure that the city doesn't grow too much. Now, Pentatron gets a little bit of luck over here, immediately draws the tile that he needs, and now there's even a threat of completing this city, which would be devastating for black's game at this point, and that's why he's quick to block this hole. But despite that, green achieved his objective because he has 8 points over here on this closed feature, and black has 3 points over here on this closed feature. So in this meeple mini battle, green has the 5-point advantage. Those will be counted at the end of the game, but in your mind you can already add those 5 points to the scoreboard. Now comes the point grabbing phase of the game. So green taking this 5-point road. Another alternative was taking this 6-point road, but the thing with this 5-point road, it's easier to continue, and there's a couple of other factors at play why this is better than this. For example, this something interesting. So this is quite a long road already, and black would love to connect to it, but he doesn't meeple this tile because it's just too dangerous. It's too easily blockable. So what this move does, it ends up building up black monasteries, yes, but also indirectly adding points to green's road, which green now happily takes. Here comes the second interesting move, which most top players know about, but many intermediate players and advanced players actually don't know the correct play over here. So I think many of our viewers would do something like this with this tile, right? It's reasonable, you complete a city, But there is something more efficient and more ambitious that you can do. So the world champion over here plays this. Because when you have tiles that have both pieces of city and road on them, you want to benefit from both the city and the road. And in addition, when you have enough meeples at the start of the game, in the early stages, it's advantageous to have always at least one city open, because there are many tiles with which it is easy to continue a city, but it's very difficult to start a city. For example, there are still these two tube-shaped extenders left in the game, and one of those would nicely fit over here. On the other hand, it is quite difficult to start a city with a tube extender over here, because it's like, it's just awkward, you know, because you need to build it up from two sides. It's just too vulnerable. So yeah, this is an example of the world champion trying to squeeze maximum value from these kind of tiles. And we are slowly approaching our main move of the game. So green now finishes this city, and black continues his, and here's the move. So just try to think about the situation, you know, what do we have over here, what would you do? The tile that Pintatron drew is a city with a city cap with a triple road. So pause the video and think for a while, where'd you put it? So the reason why I like this kind of tile is that there's always multiple options, right? We can put it over here, score 2 points, or we can put it over here, maybe secure the road and start a new city, or secure a road and start a new city over here, or secure the road and turn this city cap the other way and try to attack the city. So many options. So this is what the world champion did, and I thought, yeah, this is I like this move. And I thought that he would meeple the city, because it's a fairly standard blocking attempt that you kind of that you constrict a little bit your opponent's city, and then you build up this cap on the top, and then from this square later on you're able to constrict this square even further, very often completely blocking it. But he did something even more efficient, and I like this very much. Check this out, field meeple. So here's the reasoning behind this. At the moment we have this field with 2 completed cities, which is now worth 6 points, but a third city is about to drop, so it's going to be 9 points. Also, it is the biggest field on the map at the moment, and there are 2 patches of green at the very least to develop this land, so it has potential. Now the thing is, normally you don't want to leave empty city caps, because they are a valuable source of points. You don't want to leave them to your opponent. But at the moment, black doesn't have an incentive to finish this city, because he would be creating a blocking platform for his own city. So in black's interest, it makes more sense to first of all continue his city over here, and then only try and grab the city over here. So this would actually leave green more time of taking the city for himself. So the reason, by choosing to place the meeple on the field as opposed to the city, he is not really giving up that city, because it's indirectly his. He's still more likely to meeple it. And this is what happens in the game. So he gets this tile and the city, and now he has the field as well. And he also, most importantly, he prevented black from dropping his field meeple first. And in Carcassonne, very often it is not that important. Well, it is important, yeah, who wins the field. But regardless of whether you end up winning the field or not, you gain advantage by being the first to put a meeple there. Because now, if Black wants a piece of this field too. He needs to spend more resources. He needs to spend 2 tiles. For example, let's say 1 meeple over here with the 1 tile and the connection with another tile. So these are small advantages like these that end up giving the advantage to the world champion. And I would say that's the turning point of the game, because Black was actually looking pretty good with these monasteries, with advantage on the scoreboard, with a meeple advantage. But now that Green has taken control of this field first, he was able to equalize, and with just a couple of lucky tiles, he will even able to grab the advantage. By the way, luck also helps. I mean, to draw these tube-shaped extenders back to back, that's something. It doesn't happen every day. And now check this out. Of course, Black wants to connect to this field, but at this point, Green has already benefited from his decision to place this meeple early, because Black is spending a tile that has value in other ways. So normally if you have a city tile, of course you want to meeple the city, but he kind of needs to fight for this field as well, so he left these cities for something else. And this is another small concession that he has to do as a result of this early tempo move by Green. So now, of course, he manages to complete the connection with tempo as well, building up his monastery. So it's still a pretty equal game right now. Even though Green does have this menacing long road, and it's not too easy to connect to that one still. Green now drawing a bunch of city tiles, which is also helpful. And now creating the threat of blocking Black's meeple over here. So Black would need to find a city tile ASAP. And finally, Green manages to secure this road and score a bunch of points. I think it was 12. Yeah, 12 points. And even gain the advantage on the scoreboard. And we also need not forget about this, that he had +5 in this mini battle as well. So now Green is the favorite to win the game at this point, even though Vladimir just managed to complete his monastery. So now we have roughly equal points during the game. A 5-point advantage over here for Green. Then a monastery that is unlikely to be completed but is already providing 6 points. For Black, we have this city over here that will end up being 8 points, and if he manages to complete it, then it will be an equal game, maybe with a slight advantage for Green at this moment. But because both opponents are having 4 meeples, they just need to try grabbing lots of points wherever can, with almost every tile. And so the highest scoring place for Black is this 6-point field. And now comes another move that I quite like by Green, this field connection. So check this out, what's happening. I should have made you pause the video, but too late now. So first of all, he's threatening to win this field outright and gain the 9 points. But second of all, if he doesn't manage to do that, let's say if this is somehow blocked, although it's not that easy to block because the blocking square is somewhat constricted, he has insurance for those cases. With this city cap over here, it's possible to later score some points and gain another city in the land, just adding 3 points to this field. And then with this type of tile, which I think there are 2 left at the moment, so there's a 75% chance, it's possible to expand this field a little bit further. and add 2 more cities to the field. So it's a very interesting move that kind of multi-purpose at the same time, so that I'm either trying to connect, or if I don't manage to connect, at least I get to develop a small field myself. So at the very least, Black now manages to respond with saving his meeple and adding 8 points on the scoreboard. But this is, by the way, the tile I was talking about, that you get 7 points now, 3 for the field and 4 for the city. Now, Black just continues making natural point-producing moves. And pause the video now. What would you do with this tile? So this is another move that I liked quite a bit, because it's also multi-purpose and it shows strong awareness of the development of the landscape, like, all the spatial stuff. Check this out. City with a meeple. So it does 3 things. First of all, 4 points for a city. Great. It is unlikely to be completed, but it is not necessary, because you just need to add a couple of tiles to get it up to 7 or 8 points. And this will be enough to outscore this meeple, which is likely to remain at 6 points, although it could potentially move up to 9 if 71st can find a city cap. But also, there is a non-zero chance of this city being completed. And even if it doesn't manage to get completed, then Green can create a threat of finishing it. So let's say if he can bring it to 1 or 2 tiles before completion, then 71st will have to either try to connect to it or try to block it and spend more tiles and resources. At the same time, this move makes it indirectly easier to connect this field meeple over here, because it makes sure that this can't be easily blocked, because it constricts the blocking square from above and it constricts the blocking square on the right. So 3 things with just 1 tile. And that's why Black now must try and fight for the field himself. There is a 75% chance of him being successful. If he manages to find a straight line, then he will be able to equalize. And in the meantime, Pintatron just building up a city. And check this out. This is already equals this. It's 6 points for this meeple, 6 points for this meeple. And he even has chances for further expansions and non-zero chance for even completing the city. 71st, of course, grabbing points wherever he can. And now Pintatron managed to complete the connection. And this means that this field is now worth 12 points. So 71st would really want to find this straight line and equalize. Instead, he finds this crossroads, gains 2 points, and this is the first instance of the straight line that we now draw as green. So Pintatron gets a little bit lucky here, gets the first straight line. So this means that the probability of Black connecting now dropped from 75% to 50%. So what do we do with that? Actually, I don't know. I'm probably not going to even make you pause the video because this move is really hard to find. But just watch this, okay? Green did this. And a field meeple over here. So this looks illogical in one sense because, you know, there's only a 50% chance of being able to connect because there's one piece that could still go in this hole over here. But what Pintatron did is with this 50% chance, that would be a guaranteed win, absolutely, because he would have a 3-to-1 advantage on a 15-point field, and he would have a 4-point point for this city. So even though it's only 50% 50% chance, it's a high impact spot that would basically seal the deal for the whole game. Pindutron now will continue to build up his city. In the meantime, 71st was quite fortunate in drawing the tile that Pindutron needed over here, so at least he didn't lose the game outright. This is probably the first mistake by 71st, because of course you want to put empty city caps in your field and try to expand your field and score some extra points, especially in a situation where you might be losing the main field yourself. But you should put it in a safer spot, because what Pindutron did, he calculated all the tiles, and he made sure that this city never gets completed, because there are no more city caps remaining that fit in this hole over here. Now opponents just keep getting quick points, and it's all going to come down to that straight line, sort of, kind of. Oh, by the way, another thing that I forgot to mention about this move, why I like it, is that even though it was 0 points at the time, and there was only a 50% chance of connecting here, in case of green being unsuccessful, this move had a slight insurance, because it already had a piece of black city in the field, and so black managed to complete a city, and green got 3 points compensation. So I'm pretty sure all this was considered by Pindutron when making decisions over here. And now, if you're 71st, what do you do with this tile over here? With this guy. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right here on the top. Because, you know, it's not easy to win this game at the moment. And what he ended up doing is this field connection. So it is quite low probability, because there's only one curve left to connect that black needed to draw. And we can see that green got a little bit lucky again and draw the tile that black needed. But also there are a couple of blocking tiles in play. So there's two guys like this, these triple roads that go over here and can prevent this connection. But that was still worth a try, because again, high impact spot, and at this point it does make sense to take a little bit more risks. And now comes the final moment where I'm going to ask you to pause the video and figure out what to do with this curve if you are green. Because the thing is, the game is still not fully decided, because black can still draw the remaining straight line and grab the 6-point road, and that should give him just enough points to win the game. So this is why green does the insurance move. So he makes sure that he, even though it's only worth 3 points, he makes sure that he takes this road himself, so that if black manages to fill in this hole, green will get 4 extra road points as compensation, and black won't be able to meeple this road himself. And at this moment the game is sealed, and green is winning, and Japan retains their world champion title. And of course, just to add insult to injury, Pindutron even drew the last straight road. And I think he ended up winning with 11 points. So there were some lucky moments for both sides involved. These two monasteries definitely helped black a lot and to gain the advantage. Then these two extender tubes helped green a lot in getting those points back. But the main thing in this game, I really like this efficient, ambitious tempo gaining move by Pindutron when he chose to place an early meeple on the field and make life slightly difficult for black. I don't know what you think about this game. Were there any other points where you were surprised a little bit? I would be happy to read your comments and everything. Right, of course, don't forget to subscribe. I will be posting other games and things, and comment and leave likes. It all helps me out a lot due to the algorithm stuff. I'm sure you know that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.